Before we begin, just a quick disclaimer. You might encounter strong language. Oops. We also want to be clear that the things we say are our opinions and in should no way be taken as medical health or dietary advice. We also are aware that we have certain privileged experiences and therefore we are not able to be representative. And we don't even aim to be representative of all the things that people have lived and felt that we have not.
I'm fat and I'm enjoying dance reels so much that I'm repeating this fatsoism on this season. So,
She really is enjoying dance reels a lot, guys. I'm fat and sometimes I get tired of fighting fat phobia. So,
I'm fat, and now that I know the joys of wearing sleeveless and shorts, I find it very difficult to wear anything else. Yeah. So,
yay! This is also true, and I'm so happy. Like last year, this time Pallavi would be wearing like her beautiful outfits, but I'm like, how are you not feeling hot? And she's like, and now it's like, oh, hello!
Amazing.
I love it. It's the best.
Yeah.
I'm fat, and I don't care what you believe about fatness. So,
damn straight. I'm fat and I'm confident. So,
I'm fat, and I want to learn to surf.
ooh, yeah.
Okay, I can think of something.
Hello?
I'm fat and I surprisingly have a small appetite.
Yeah.
Surprising to everybody. Not to me, because
Of
it's
course.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Because
I
you're
do
just a
have a
person
very
with
yeah. I have a very small appetite.
No.
Also, I'm fat and I can dance and the floor doesn't break.
Wow.
So damn true. My God.
And we are going to talk about your dancing, Tanvi. I assure you of this.
yes,
Thank
we are.
you.
We are.
So,
Okay.
Thank you.
welcome to Fatso, the podcast where we talk about the joys and sorrows of being fat women in India, heavy on the joy. I'm Pallavi.
And I'm Amaya. And today our guest is Instagram star Tanvi Geetha Ravishankar, also known as the Chubby Twirler. Woo!
Whee! No, and while Tanvi has many firsts and accolades, and we've heard them all because we've been following you for Kingdoms Come, I don't know how many years. I'm not sure I said that right, but anyways, just shows my excitement. I just want to say congratulations on winning,
Thank you.
on winning the Cosmopolitan Body Love Influencer Award. Have I got that right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
And I have to admit, Tanvi, I've been so excited ever since I heard of it. And I've been following your stories and posts very diligently ever since. And in fact, I don't remember whether it was on Sunday or on Monday. I saw another winner post, like Lisa posted her telephone or something like that. And I quickly went to your account to check. And you very smartly and very naughtily did not post anything. You
Yeah.
came back and I was like, oh my God, I need to know. But then I had to wait. But I was so delighted.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Delayed gratification is important, Pallavi.
No, actually, I was just super tired
Yeah.
and honestly in a lot of pain because of my spine and all. So that is why. That was the only reason. And you saw the dress, right? Getting the dress back home was a task. So I was just so anxious and stressed about that. So all my energy just went in that.
Behind the scenes of the glam, guys. Behind the scenes of the glam.
So I would suggest everybody go check out Tanvi. As Amaya said, she's at the Chubby Twirler on Instagram. She is a digital creator in the space of fashion, lifestyle, dance, body positivity. That dress was just something else. So
It really was.
Tanvi, over to you to tell us more about yourself.
I think you all have pretty much covered my introduction amazingly well. I don't know what else I can add. I can just say that I've been doing this for more than 5 years now. And I'm just very happy that finally I got the recognition and honor from such a big platform, it obviously is, uh, it, uh, it does not define my worth or the worth of my work, but it is a great recognition and a great step towards inclusivity, because the previously fat bodies hadn't got the award in this category, which is very surprising. But yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think it's ridiculously important
yeah,
to have it. And like just straight up regular fat bodies, like not
yeah,
like some super styled, actually just,
yeah,
a size 10 normal size person body, which happens so much when it comes to these
yeah,
things.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, so I'm just gonna be a little bit of a fangirl here for a second, and say once more that we absolutely love your work on Instagram. It really inspires
Thank
me. And if
you.
I'm being honest, Pallavi, Tanvi is kind of the reason why I agreed to start doing reels. Because
Yay!
Pallavi
I'm so
started to make
happy.
me do reels for ages, and I'm like, Chichi, I want to do that. Where's the time? Now it's this. And then I was like, oh, okay, such interesting things can happen with
Yeah,
reels.
yeah. It doesn't need to be cringe. So yeah,
Yes,
it's a great space actually
it
to
really is.
grow. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and when Amaya got onto the reel bandwagon, by then I had lost my enthusiasm, so that she had to pull me back on it. But I think for me, it was just watching you dance. Like I've seen Reagan dance, but they're different dance styles. And seeing you and doing our Bollywood styles, and you're so graceful, and I mean, it's just such a joy to watch you
Thank
that,
you.
yeah, I mean, now it's like, the highlight of my day. I mean, I
Oh
am
my
aware,
God.
by the way, I am aware of when you don't post, and the proof of that, stalker alert, is you
I
remember
love
I
it.
I texted you once saying, hey, I haven't seen anything from you for a week or
Yeah.
10 days or
Yeah.
something like that. Are you all right? So,
Yeah. Thank
yeah,
you.
anyway.
Yeah. I
Uh,
regularly take these breaks for
So
my mental
important.
health. Yeah.
So important. Something we
Yeah.
also do. Like we
Yeah.
try to be regular about posting also, but already like Monday I suddenly copped a fever and I
Yeah.
was like gasping with exhaustion. I just didn't post. I was like, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Koi
It's very
marega nahi.
important. Yeah, it's very important. Because also if you perform with when you don't have the energy or strength, it shows. Your audience can make out. So that there's no point of
Yeah.
creating content
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, it's better to take a break.
yeah. And I think we should maybe stop fangirling now and ask you our first
Yes,
question
yes.
for the podcast.
I'm loving it
Uh,
though.
which is basically the big, bad, ugly experience of fat phobia. What has yours been?
Well, I think most of us have the same experience growing up. Everything, we all face the same issues, but I think the biggest two experiences, like life altering fat phobic experiences of mine that I can share, is one where I wasn't allowed to take up dancing professionally
Mm.
because of my body, even though I was so talented. And I have no qualms in saying that I was one of the most talented people in the class, because my mentor had told that to me, but I was not allowed to take it up professionally, even though I had lost like about 25 kilos for the program by like starving myself, working out all day and eating like one boiled egg after the entire thing, was
Jesus.
to cry myself to sleep. But still I wasn't allowed to, take it up professionally. And something that I had dreamt of doing since, since the age of 3, since when dreaming was possible, I was suddenly told that you can't do it because of your body. So that is one. And the second really bad experience I had with fat phobia is medical fat phobia, where I wasn't even told to get a diagnosis done about my injury by several doctors. And for about 5 years, that injury went unnoticed, where they just attributed everything to my weight. And then finally, we got to know, like, I wasn't even told to get an MRI, which is like a basic after a car accident. And if I'm suffering in pain and I can't move,
My
just,
God.
yeah, just ask me to get an MRI. But I wasn't told that. And obviously, I didn't know like which MRI to get or what to do. finally, after 5 years, when the pain suddenly became unbearable, and like my legs used to have these really bad cramps, and it used to, like, my legs still, like, it twists on its own, as if I'm getting like a paralysis attack.
My
So
God.
that's how bad it got. Then we got an MRI, and we got to know that my spine is actually broken because of the accident.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. So I know it suddenly turned
No,
very
but I
dark,
mean,
but
this is,
yeah,
it's not about dark. It's so
No.
fucking important because I am
yeah,
sitting here immobilized, frustrated, in lots of pain just because one fucking doctor looked at me, said, "Oh, you have knee pain. It must be because you're fat. So have
oh
bariatric
shit,
surgery and stop moving."
oh god,
And
yeah,
to
I
be
don't,
fair, I forced him to prescribe an MRI and I got one and I kept saying, "Dekho, teme MRI mein kuch nahi dikh raha hai." I'm like, "There's nothing in the MRI." But fundamentally, by the time it had been 6 months and I was, and I finally found a chiropractor, which is a whole other thing because as the
yeah,
kind of person that I am, I'm like, "Oh, chiropractor,
yeah.
is this a real thing?" But he's the one who looked at me and said, "You have a muscle strain and here, let me treat you." And today I still go back to him when this thing is fucking not getting better ever again. Apparently, I'm going to limp my whole fucking life, is what it feels like.
I should take that chiropractor's number from you.
Please, but Delhi,
Yeah.
not
Oh,
Bombay. But see,
yeah,
he may have a friend in Bombay. I'll ask him.
yeah. Yeah,
But
but yeah.
it's just, I.
So I regularly talk about this on my page about medical fat phobia, and the number of comments I get, like people's cancers have been gone undiagnosed, and
Oh my
their
God, yes.
symptoms have been attributed to their weight. I'm like, it's cancer, it's like fatal, and you're just, going to very blatantly just attribute it to our weight. Like, how bad is it? And then obviously we have sets of doctors also who then come and fight against this and say that no, weight, your weight is a disease and is the problem for everything. So yeah,
My
but
God, yeah. Oof.
yeah,
Horrifying. It's just
yeah,
horrifying. And the problem is for me, it just reinforces that whole I have a phobia of doctors. Like I have doctor
yes,
phobia,
yeah,
because I always reach for the more natural way of healing just so that I don't
yes,
have to go to a doctor who will
yeah,
misdiagnose me, put some nonsense in my head, get me on a treatment plan which actually makes me worse than
yeah,
better.
yeah.
And it's
I think most of us, yeah, yeah, most of us have this. Even I rarely go to doctors, and the times that I have gone, even for like a common cold, sometimes, or like they do tell you the first thing they say, "Ek to, why do you have to weigh me for a common cold? Why do you have to weigh me for that?"
Absolutely.
So
It's and I'll be honest. I say this to the knee doctor as well. I'm like, yes, of course, if I had to carry less weight, my recovery time would be faster. It would be much easier for my aging because now I'm almost 40 muscles to recover from this injury, right? The muscle tone that I've lost would not have made such a bad impact on me. But the weight is not the cause of my problem. And
yeah,
telling me to lose weight like that is not going to fix the
yeah.
problem.
I
So
mean, we won't lose weight tomorrow, na. So
I,
treat us now. That's
I
not the
swear.
solution.
no, and
Oh,
I mean, are we living in a world where only fat people get sick? Like
Exactly,
what on
exactly.
earth? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, really, I wish that might have been a relief actually, because we may have known that something is wrong. We
yeah,
actually live in a world where we know intrinsically that there's nothing wrong because we're
yeah,
able to do everything that
yeah.
anybody else can do, but people are constantly telling us we're not able to do it. So we're like, can I or can't I? Like, what? Like, it's the worst sort of gaslighting.
yeah,
In
man.
Yeah,
fact,
yeah,
Sophie Hagen put up this post a couple of days ago where she spoke about climbing this mountain or climbing this hill or
Yeah.
something of that sort. And, she talked about how she went at her own pace and kept stopping and breathing and stuff, but that she could do it. And my point is, I've been on treks, you dance, Mia's been on treks. There's so many things that we do gasp and we do struggle, and maybe we're not as fit, but that doesn't mean a thinner person who isn't as fit doesn't have the same problems. They have the
exactly.
same problems. So
Yeah,
what is
I
this
mean,
world?
I know at least three boys, fit boys who do like all sports and workouts and all the fits and keto and all that shit, who have fucked their knees up. Why? Because they were drunk and trying to jump. Did
Not
anybody
even
give
that.
them shit for
Yeah.
that? Nobody gives them shit on
No.
judgment. They just get
Yeah.
sympathy. Oh, poor baby, you have to have knee surgery. Oh, no
Yeah.
shame. No, it's your own. I bet you the doctor will not look at them in a judgy way. I bet you the father and mother will not turn around and say, "You fucking idiot! Are you stupid? Why are you jumping around when you're drunk? Why do you drink so
Yeah.
much?" कोई नहीं बोलेगा.
Absolutely. Not even that. I mean, here they were still drunk. I know so many people because I'm a dancer, right? I know so many people who are like stereotypically fit and thin, and they obviously cannot have injuries. But they've all had injuries, and touch wood till date, I've not had any dance injury.
Mm.
I've not had any dance injury, even while I was dancing professionally. No dance injury. People have had knee surgeries, ankles have been twisted. Nothing has happened of that sort. So, I mean, all this is technique. It's not because of your size. It's just
Yeah.
technique.
Yeah, and how many actors and people in this profession who get surgeries, who get operations, so much physiotherapy, this and that, because it's, I mean, come on, people who go
It's
and play
just body.
sport.
Everybody's body is different. It's
Exactly.
made up differently. And again, technique, what you're doing, what you're not. And even, yeah, the biggest thing that fat people are also told is that we'll die of a heart attack. Okay. And I know many people in my own family who are very like who are considered very fit. Like everybody who sees them now, the first thing they say is, "Are kita workout kiya hai?" And one being my grandfather only, and he passed away because of a heart attack. He
Mhm.
was the most, yeah, and like, and these other people also, they got a heart attack. I'm like, your size doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean,
I
also
have examples.
here's the other thing. If somebody does have an untimely death in their 40s,
Yeah,
they just dropped out of a heart attack. People are like,
yeah,
"Oh my God, dropped out of a massive heart attack." Never
yeah,
once have you ever heard somebody say, "Oh yeah, he was only 45, but I mean, he was fat, so he was bound to die early."
yeah,
Has
yeah.
anybody ever said that? Obviously, it does not happen that often.
Yeah.
It's just scaremongering for no reason. Oh, so,
And
Even last year, because of COVID, it was so sad. It was so sad that, fat people were told that by doctors that, y'all are more at risk. Anyway, people are so anxious. They're so stressed because of this disease. And then you're telling us that, you have more chances to die because you're fat. I mean, what is this? How insensitive and how inhuman can you be to say this?
you know what you this whole thing is just so infuriating. I mean, yes, fat people may die more likely, perhaps because of the negligence of the medical community,
Yes,
whether
yes,
it's COVID or any other issue
yes,
that we may have. Number
yes,
one, that is
yes.
something that I wish I could cry out loud. And the other thing is, you spoke about dance. I started learning dance as well from when I was very young. I learned it in Lagos, Nigeria. So, jo bhi
Okay.
sikha tha, it wasn't the proper Kathak with the notations and the, tal and all of
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
still, I'd learned quite a bit. Plus, I'd learned enough to get an audience with Birju Maharaj to see my performance.
Oh, wow.
And he saw my performance and he says, "You dance beautifully. I have not seen anyone so graceful." Then he turns to my mother and he says, "पर इतनी मोटी को हम कहाँ लेके जाएंगे?
Oh
आपको
my
देखना
God.
चाहिए था ना?" And he's like, "You haven't taken care of her being fat." And I was 14. So, despite the fact that she's so talented and dances so beautifully, we cannot accept her. बेटा पतले होके ना वापस आ जाओ. I dropped dance. I dropped Kathak because I
Oh
was like,
my
forget it.
God.
I'm just going to focus on my 10th boards. I don't want to learn.
yeah. Oh, why would you
This is
not?
so disheartening. And to know that someone like Birju Maharaj has said this, I've lost a little bit of respect
अरे
for him. Late
सब
Birju
लोग
Maharaj, but yeah.
सब everybody is in the
It's not
same
his
fat
fault.
phobic society.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody is born and trained in
yeah,
that same fat phobic.
yeah,
Hopefully
yeah.
now we'll have generations of people who have seen different options. So that's at least
Hopefully. Yeah,
a small positive thing. So
yeah.
let's also use this as a convenient segue to ask you about how you came to where you are today. How did you break out of the pain and the trauma that has been inflicted on you by fat phobia and come this far on your journey?
I think so. I don't remember a lot of my experiences growing up. Also, I know that I've never struggled with my body the way I know my peers
Mm.
and my friends who are fat have struggled. I've never kind of struggled. We were discussing this now also when we met at Cosmo that yes, I would have family members come and tell me that I'm fat. I would have members come and tell me that you shouldn't be wearing this. But I don't know. I somehow just never cared. I would listen. I was never a rude person. I was never an angry child. Or I would never back answer. I was very respectful. I would just smile, shrug it off, and then continue doing what I wanted to do. I think it was just this innate stubbornness of I will do what I want to do. कोई भी आके मुझे कुछ भी बोले, I will do what I want to do. You can't physically move me and make me do something. I will listen to you. I will not do it.
A
So
cheer for the stubborn women of this world.
yeah. So I think it's that because even now I'm very sure about my decisions. I'm not someone who gets confused or can be swayed. I will listen to everyone's advice, but at the end, I will do what I want to do. So I think it has been that. Yes, I have faced mockery, and people have called me names growing up, or even on the road when I'm walking. All those things which all of us have faced. It's not something that is new. Every single fat person faces this.
Yeah.
But I can say that I dealt with it in a very different way. I did not allow that to affect me. The only times it did affect me was when I couldn't find clothes my size, when I'd go shopping because I was such a shopaholic. So that also, but then I would like come back and be like, okay, let's just get these clothes made. And
Mm.
I would get it made for my size. So yeah.
So then, when did you decide to do all your Instagram stuff? Like, when did you decide? Like, you said five
Yeah.
years, no? So tell us that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. So I got selected in Lakme Fashion Week. I
Mm.
was it was their first plus size fashion show ever. And body positivity had kind of just begun that time in India 5 years ago. So I was one of the first people to walk the ramp for Lakme Fashion Week as a plus size model. And there I met a lot of people, obviously. Before that, I didn't know a lot of people who looked like me, who were my
Yeah.
size. So there I met a lot of people, and I was like, everybody looks like me, and everybody is so like happy and confident, and they've come out here, they're showing up. But also, when I started discussing things with them, when I spoke to them, I realized that people have really struggled with their bodies. Like
Mm.
they're really unhappy. They stop themselves from doing things, like basic things like dancing,
Yeah.
like just dancing at a party. It is something that is so normal for me. A music plays that I like. For me, it's like I will get up and dance. It's not something that I ever thought someone would, be uncomfortable doing or struggling to do that. Or
Mm.
even like wearing jeans or something like that. I did not know all this because, as I said, I was the only fat person around me and I was okay. In fact, I was a fashion guru for all my thin friends. So, yeah. So I was like, I spoke to them, and then obviously, while talking to them itself, they were quite inspired by my stories and the way I am. So that's when I decided that I like fashion. I also have these thoughts where, I can share with people and it can help at least one person. Even if it helps at least one person, then my work is done. So let's just start doing this. I started first with a blog, then kind of blogs kind of became redundant after a few months. Instagram took off where people did not want to read much. So yeah, then I started with Instagram, and yeah, today here we are
Winning
after five
awards.
years. Yes.
Yeah,
Much,
absolutely
much
awesome.
deserved awards.
Thank you.
So I feel curious to know what are the kind of reactions, responses you've got from your work? Because 5 years is
Um,
a long time in this field.
yeah, yeah. So I get everything right from, you know, the smaller day-to-day joys of, oh, today I wore jeans for the first time, I wore sleeveless for the first time, or today I did not get affected by someone body shaming me. I was like, whatever, I'm gonna ignore it. So right from these two like really deep ones where people have said that you know you're the reason why I'm alive today. You got me out of that space. You're the reason why I stepped out of my house. I got ready after months and months. So I get all these sorts of messages. I also get a lot of DMs where people tell me they just like sharing. I think it's just, I think we didn't have anyone growing up. We didn't have anyone to see and, who said that it's okay how you are, right? It's just okay. And you can do everything you want to do, even with the size you are, with the way you look. So I think that just I feel like sometimes people think I'm like a big sister. So they share a lot of intimate details about their family life, how their husbands treat them, how their in-laws treat them, how their parents treat them. So yeah, these are basically generally the kind of messages that I get. Some obviously are very emotional and some make me feel very proud of the people also. Yeah.
It's so true. It's funny when you say this because this is something, a theme that comes up a lot with all the people we talk to about this, which is two things. One, there has never been a community, and I never actually got to talk to people like me,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the other one is just that the way that people, all you need is to see one person who's giving you an alternative example, and you're just desperate to break out of the
Yeah.
fat phobia and just be yourself. And I know both of them actually they kind of give me some hope, I feel, for the world. Though, I mean, I'm not the most optimistic of people. Let's just be polite. But I think that it's amazing to see how just the small fact of having someone you can DM
Yeah.
sometimes. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we also get these messages where just like, oh my god, I saw your post and today I bought a sleeveless shirt, and this is like from my thin friends,
Yeah, yeah. So
right? And
yeah,
I'm like,
body image is a total different conversation
of course,
altogether.
of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I mean, we all know like that.
yeah.
All women are subject to
Yeah,
body image
yeah,
shit,
yeah,
and men, everybody.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the difference is that there is it's that's internalized, but externally, what people put on you is different when you actually
yeah,
occupy a fat body.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's really the main difference here
yeah.
as far as that goes. I'm a little curious. I want to hear more about your dancing.
Um, what about it? I started at the age of 3.
Huh.
I have trained in Bharatanatyam, Odissi, and Kathak for 15 years, and Bollywood dancing to khoon mein hai hi. So that doesn't need training. I've always
Yeah,
danced on
it's
my
definitely in your
Madhuri
blood.
Dixit, yeah,
Yeah.
Sri Devi numbers.
Wow.
And yeah, after I studied engineering, after while I was in engineering, I also was a dance instructor with a dance school there in
Oh
Nasik.
my god! And you were saying
Yeah,
that like everyone was like, you can't do it professionally, but you were like, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway.
yeah, this was in Nasik though. But when I came back to Bombay, I joined the dance academy here,
Mm.
where in Nasik I was still doing engineering, so I did not know professionally lena hai, nahi lena hai.
Huh.
When I came back here, I was very sure that I do not want to work at an IT company. I want to dance. So that's when I joined this dance academy, and I was with them for about 3 years. But yeah, I mean, I was then denied even training, forget getting to perform and all of that. That happened. That I think was the end of my dance journey for then,
Mm.
because that incident completely broke me. It
Yeah.
like yeah, because it's like a dream that I have had since decades, since a child, and I knew that I could make it in that industry, but I was not allowed to. But today I'm so thankful that that did not work out, because probably if I would have been there in that in that academy dancing, then I wouldn't be doing this for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So
So then
I'm
I'm
very
also
thankful.
glad then. I'm also glad
Yeah.
then.
So now I dance, I do make dance videos, but for myself and my audience and to break these stereotypes, hopefully
When did you
someday.
start dancing again though?
I began dancing again when I started my
Started this.
blog.
Okay.
Yeah. But then obviously now I have limitations because of my spine injury.
Yeah.
So I am
Okay.
not as agile as I was before. But yeah, it's okay. I still
Girlfriend,
dance.
following your Instagram, मुझे नहीं पता था you had any injury of any kind from anywhere. Okay. Just like watching you in the reels,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
dance and jump around.
Yeah,
They're quite
I know.
amazing.
No, and
Thank you.
actually, that was one of the first posts I saw from you, Tanvi, was a post where I don't remember, but you're doing I don't remember exactly now. It was a Bollywood dance, I think, but where you talked about this, where you said that
Yeah,
I'm dancing after so many years, and it's I keep stopping because I'm in pain,
yeah,
but I have to keep doing it. And I mean, it was just so admirable for me because I was like, Palin, behave, because I was in this whole thing of nay, and people will look at me and think, and I was like, this woman is doing it because she loves it, and she's doing it irrespective of the pain. And that was just very inspiring for me. It
thank you.
really, I think watching you has made me feel that yeah, I can get back to dancing. And I pick up choreography from wherever now, and I do it at my own pace.
Yes.
And I of course have a very critical eye about my own dancing because I expect myself to be a ballerina or something of that sort. I don't know, but and no patch on you, of course, but it's just something to do and something, a way to move your body and to move it joyfully. And it's like,
Yes.
And I feel like this is a thing that, I mean, this is one of my favorite rants that Papi has heard a few times as well. That why does everything you do have to be done well to some goal of
Yes.
success and goodness?
Yes.
Why you want to
Yes.
paint? It doesn't matter if it looks like
Yeah.
an amoeba. If you want to paint, just paint. If
Yeah,
you want to dance, just
absolutely.
dance. If you want to
Yeah.
cook, just cook. Okay, cooking is
Yeah,
a bit problematic because then if your food is terrible and nobody eats it, including yourself, that's a bit of a problem.
yeah.
But like whatever it is you want to do, just do it. It's so upsetting, how capitalism has us all so trained into this idea of
Yeah.
you have to achieve quote unquote success and quote unquote prestige at a certain level, otherwise it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I saw the
Yeah.
most horrible thing today on the internet, which is called the pyramid of leisure. Like there's this concept called the pyramid of needs. What needs
Yeah.
human beings
Yeah.
have and how they have to.
Yeah.
So something like that, but about what you should do with your leisure time. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like I'm just horrified. Why should you have to like build a structure to how you
Yeah.
dude? And
To relax also. Yeah.
nowhere on that pyramid was, according to me, the absolute most important part of leisure, which is lying on the bed and staring at the ceiling. Like doing
Yes.
sweet fuck all is so
Yeah.
important. It wasn't there. So yeah,
yeah,
I
but
mean,
I don't know if you know this about me, Ameya, but I've struggled for a very long time till recently on being able to do nothing on my off days, which is why I'm so manically possessive about my Sundays and doing nothing at all. Because most of my life, it's always been like you have to
yeah.
be doing something
Yeah.
productive, even when you are supposed to be doing nothing at all. So,
I definitely did not know this because I have only gotten the honor of witnessing Pallavi saying it's Sunday, I refuse to do anything, fuck off. Which is fine. I mean, you do you, girlfriend.
yeah, well, I have
But
been
yeah, it's something
brought
that
up.
occurred to me in no, but the thing is, my point is, I don't even think it's about that. It's this constant competition of have you seen this show? Have you read this book? Have you heard this podcast? Have you loved this music? Have you eaten in this restaurant? Have you gone to this place? Why? Like, it's just oof. I get very like I have these friends who are like, oh God, I have to catch up on my. I'm like, if you have to catch up on it, stop. Like, not supposed to be homework. You're supposed to enjoy it. If you're
Yeah.
not enjoying it, don't do it.
When I was growing up, if you weren't studying or reading a book, or you had to have hobbies, so then dance and painting, or if nothing else, like the good girls in Victorian novel, you had to be able to embroider or, do stuff like that. So, I mean, we never in our childhood had a moment to sit and stare at the ceiling because that was insane. That was crazy.
To be fair, I don't know that we did either, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is I think it is so systemic as well that even someone who grew up with a significantly more bohemian or chilled out childhood
Yeah.
where we would play like hide and seek and invent shit. And I don't know what we used to do all day. My mother would just be like, "Get out of the house, don't sleep." Don't come back." So, I don't know what we did, but even so, as adults, we've been programmed to, oh God, yeah, tick list. I have to tick this off the list. What is this? So that is
Completely.
why I don't have a to be read list. I don't participate in read, even though I love reading. I don't participate in reading challenges, and I'm like, no, I only do it for fun.
That's great.
Anyway,
That's
sorry, we
great.
went off on a bit of a tangent there, but before we run out of time, Tanvi, are there any questions you have for us?
Mm, nothing on the top of my mind because I did not have time to
Look at
think.
her. She looks like, see, this is also not homework. It's just supposed to be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
So,
okay.
I would, but I mean, I don't know if that's appropriate for the
Just
show.
ask.
I would want to know how like y'all started and how y'all met. And I don't know if y'all have already said this a million times on the show, so then it's okay. Don't say it.
Okay, we have said it many times, which means we have a executive summary elevator pitch. There's a whole episode that we did where we talked about it.
Then I'll just read it. Then I'll just listen to it. It's okay.
It's very happy to say this, yeah. Pallavi, please, you have to start.
Yeah. So I'm the girl who till 35 thought that being in a fat body was the worst sin and that God has punished her terribly and that there's something terribly wrong with her. So it didn't. So of course I, overachieved everywhere else, like overdid, not overachieved, but overdid, overcompensated everywhere else, whether it was at work or in relationships or in terms of hobbies and blah, blah, blah. But none of that helped because I still was depressed and suicidal at 35, to be honest. But then one night, as I was contemplating my fate, I happened to Google and come across Tess Holiday. And I was like, oh my God, she's in my body. Look at her. And look at her, look at her fan base and stuff like that. So I went nuts Googling and reading and stuff like that. And I came across, you may have actually interacted with them, Sachin and Sana. And they were running Plus Size Models India in 2014. And I sent them my photographs, and they got me into the Times of India into the week as one of the only women at that time in India willing to send her photographs to these publications. And I know that Neha got in touch with them sometime in 2015, 2016,
Yeah,
but then she also worked for Lakme Fashion,
yeah.
etc., etc. And they were guys who were doing this out of the love of their hearts and not because it was their full-time thing. But
Okay.
I was in touch with them because, we would keep talking. So that's what happened. And this whole world opened up for me, which was completely different. And I started reading a lot about it. And I started doing different things with my body. I started posting on Instagram saying hashtag F your beauty standards. And, it was just very hesitant at first because I was still in this whole, but what about health? Because everyone was like, हाँ हाँ ये सब ठीक है तुम बहुत
Hmm.
सुंदर हो and वो सब हमें पता है, but what about health? Which is when I read Lindo Bacon's Health at Every Size, and that just then it was like I'm unstoppable. Then everyone who met me, everyone I spoke to, I would start giving them lecture on, how health is at every size.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was, I found a lot of people coming up to me and saying, "Hey, we were listening to you. And actually, you're right." So even doctors and people with some level of influence would come up and say this to me. So I realized that these conversations have to happen. Anyway, executive summary, as Amaya put it, which is very difficult for me. Um, so basically, this thought was in my head while I was doing it by myself, reading these books, looking at these. They were all in the West, right? I didn't have a
Yeah.
lot of examples in India. Though I started following, these Instagram accounts, you know, uh, because they were body positivity, whereas I was looking more at fat liberation, even though I didn't have the words for it.
Yeah.
But then 2019, I was reinventing myself, my life. I'd done something called Life Book. I was like, I feel most authentic when it comes to plus size women. And somebody asked me to host a gathering of plus size women. And that is where I met Kamea. And it was love at first sight, almost, because we just looked at each other and we were like, oh my God, this other person gets me. That's just a very magical
Yeah.
thing. Like, she said something like, I got up from the chair and the chair got up with me. And I felt both the horror and the amusement. And
Yeah.
it was so instantaneous. It was like, oh my God, this is a person I don't have to explain myself to. So anyway, I should continue the story, I
I
think.
call it aankhon hi aankhon mein ishara ho gaya. The thing is, it's not like I didn't have any issues with my body or my weight before that, but I grew up in a house where I was really lucky. It was all, look, you want to do something, get off your ass and do it. Like, you're not any worse off because you're a woman, because you're fat, because you're anything. My parents would say that you need to lose weight because health, blah, blah, we have diabetes in the family, etc., etc. But nobody penalized me for it in the family. Of course, outside the family, different story. Boys I was crushing on, different story. No need to go to that. But I had reached the stage where I had just come back from Spain after my MBA, and I had been through a really bad depressive phase, and I was really struggling at the time as well. And then I went to this gathering because I was looking for community, and I started going to these gatherings. And when the plus size one happened, and of course we met, and then we had the best night. And then later Pallavi asked me if I wanted to do this. She told me she wants to do a podcast, and I said, "Oh, I'll help you." She says, "No, no, you need to host it with me." And I was like, "Really? Okay, cool." And that's it, right? And the thing is, for me, it's been a very interesting journey because all of this language, all of this activism has come to me after the podcast. Like, it's in the process of doing the podcast I've come to find words for, and even notice these weird feelings I had in myself all along. Okay, why are people, so what if I'm fat? Like, it's not cool that it was always like, yeah, it's because I'm fat. But there was a part of me that's like, but that's not fair. But I never even acknowledged that that part existed. And then now I have all these great words, which is awesome because words are really important, right? So now I can talk about fat phobia and fat liberation. I can say that is not fat positive behavior. I can say that is fat phobic or all of those things. And it helps me feel more empowered because I'm a person who likes language. So I can walk into the doctor's office and say, no, I'm sorry. When you start being fat phobic to me, I know that I don't have to trust your medical opinion. That's a very valuable power that's come to me.
Yeah.
So it's great. And now it's like 3 years later, shadi bhi ho gayi. No, not shadi. But yes, we have lived together for a year and a bit. And now let's see what the next chapter brings.
So ye to that gathering.
Yeah.
That gathering was, yeah.
Very much so. It really was a magical moment.
But before we end, Tanvi, I have to ask you one question, which actually makes me feel a little jay when I see it on your post. But I genuinely would like to know, because I have never experienced this. How does it feel to have a supportive partner?
Oh God, yes.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it feels to not have one, because I've always, as Amaya said, I've also grown up luckily I've grown up in a very equal household where I've seen this kind of support system right from my grandparents to my parents, my uncles and aunts. So, and I've never not seen something like this. So obviously, I think so naturally, I also gravitated towards a partner or a person who, gives me those vibes. So yeah, I mean, it feels normal to me because it is a normal thing to do. I support him in everything he does. I guide him, I mentor him in all his work problems and how to, in all his decision making, and he does the same. So for me, it's like as normal as it is, but I'm sure I do understand that it is something that a lot of people do not have because of the patriarchal system in our society. And yeah, that is also something I here and there sometimes try to address. I do not talk a lot about it, but as and when I find something problematic, I do address it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, Ami as a supportive partner, she's my friend, and there's no question about the amount of growth that I've experienced with her friendship
Yeah,
and living with her and all of that. And
Same.
our community, and watching you and other women and men also now. So of course the podcast and all of
yeah,
that is supportive. But I think I crave to experience what it would be to have a family member who's supportive. So
yeah,
I think my question comes from there, and
yeah,
I get that. I think it's a goal for me, that how to make it normal.
yeah,
And
How do I embody
yeah. I
that
mean,
being normal?
yeah, and I'm so glad that, because you've broken out of whatever you've experienced, your future generations will not be dealing with that, and they'll have a very safe and open environment to grow and thrive in, which is great, which is absolutely great.
I just want to also point out that what Tanvi you described is something that many thin people also do not have in their partnerships.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's not
It's
even
not about size.
down to being fat. Like, I
Yeah.
think
It's
the
not
thing
about
that the
size.
fat phobia does to us is it makes us willing to accept partners who don't deserve us. And that is
Yes.
again what you said about the fact that always being seen as like it not being a thing for you. I think that's
Yeah.
true as me as well. And the reason I'm single is frankly because I'm picky. Because
Yeah.
honestly, if you want to be part of my life, you have got to be able to give me what I need, and I will
Yes.
tolerate no bullshit. Of course, that's
Yeah.
not true because then I fixate on somebody and I tolerate a lot of bullshit. But that's what I'm working on in therapy these days.
Yeah. That is such an important thing, that we as fat women are conditioned to think that even the first person who remotely also thinks
Yeah.
that we are nice or beautiful or falls in love with us, that's it, we should stick to that person and stay with that person, क्योंकि वरना पता नहीं आगे मिलेगा कि नहीं हमें प्यार. We don't
I
know
mean,
if
that's
we'll get
why
it.
I, for
And
one,
you're
have,
so lucky that someone is looking at you.
yes.
You're so
Oh
lucky
yeah.
that someone has interest in you.
Hmm.
I mean, that's why I've had a lot of bad sex in my 20s too, because I'm like, it's there, no, now who knows when next time. Now I want to go back and slap and be like, you could have got 8 hours of sleep. So much more useful. Anyway, Chalo, we are at the end of our time now. Just to
Oh,
say,
is it?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that girl is such a pataka, man. What a firecracker. Seriously. So much energy. I don't know where she gets it. I look at her Instagram
Mm.
and I'm just like, my God. I don't know, maybe I'm just lazy about Instagram. Plus, I had no idea she had that all that history with the back problems and all of that. I didn't know that at all. And that just only makes me even more impressed by what she does
Yeah,
and how she does it. Huh?
yeah, yeah. No, and I didn't know it in such detail. I knew she had an injury, which is why I was always so inspired by her. But just the grit, the determination, and I love her attitude. I love the way she
100%.
said, I don't care. I will do what I need to do. I will listen to everybody, but I will do what I want to do. And I think that, I mean, yeah, I see how that emerges in her work. And I'm so glad that we got to speak to her, and especially after her win. I mean, I'm so glad she won. And yeah, I think it was just a
It's
fabulous
just amazing.
conversation.
Yeah. You're gonna hear that
Yeah.
phrase a lot, guys, this season. Fabulous conversation. Anyway,
It is true.
all right. Let's wrap this up. So that's all for
Mhm.
today. As you know, you can follow us at Fatso Podcast, FATSOPODCAST, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can email us at fatsopodcast@gmail.com. You can sign up for our awesome newsletter that drops every week and gives you like cheat early info about who the new guest is going to be and stuff like that, which is fatsopodcast.substack.com. And of course, if you go to fatsopodcast.com, you'll get all this information in one place. And this episode was recorded in various locations, in various places, using Zoom, of course. And it will be edited by me. Our music is by Anant, and our logo is by Yash. And that's about it, I think. Until next time.
Yeah. Bye bye.